The following events are fictional in nature. This story is inspired by the book An Unauthorized Detailed Account of Gotham 1919 to 1939 by GiantPandaKing. Viewer discretion advised.
In the wake of the Great War, fewer people were allowed immigration to the U.S. from Europe, but some were still admitted. One such person was Victor Fries, a scientist from Austria. He had traveled to America to further develop his research into the newly budding field of cryogenics. He expected to find much in his research, but what he did not expect to find was true love. It was here, in America, that Victor met Nora. The two fell in love and soon became married. She was the only one who could melt his heart. Soon, Victor's research began to gain the attention of many important people. He was approached by the board of GothCorp, the second biggest company in Gotham. They offered him funding for his research and a laboratory to house his experiments. With Victor at the lead, GothCorp was in a full-on technology race with Wayne Enterprises to find the next big breakthrough. This soon began to unravel, however, with the discovery that Nora was sick. In fact, she was dying. Victor thought that his research might be the key to her salvation, beginning to embezzle funds from GothCorp to advance his experiments faster and faster. This did not go unnoticed, and he soon found himself being confronted by the GothCorp board of directors. They moved to forcibly shut down his experiments and lab, but Victor, in pure desperation, tried to stop them. His attempt resulted in machinery being knocked loose, spraying him with an experimental sub-zero substance he had developed. It changed the very fiber of his being, increasing his strength, allowing him to be immune to pain and sickness, but at a terrible cost. He could only survive in sub-zero temperatures. It was soon after this incident that his wife Nora passed away from her illness. Victor, upon this tragic event, gave in to his anger over his grief. He constructed a suit that allowed his body to stay in an environment of extreme cold. He weaponized his cryogenics technology, creating a freeze gun which he used to assault the members of GothCorp's board. His vendetta against those who, in his mind, were responsible for his wife's death rocked Gotham to its core. The city's occupants saw fluctuations in the weather, experiencing snow in the dead of summer, stretches of frozen road causing multiple accidents, and in some cases, death. The police tried their best, but Victor Fries, now dubbed Mr. Freeze by the Gotham Gazette, proved too much for them. The Batman, having learned Victor's tragic reasons for his actions, confronted him, trying to reason with the broken man. Try as he might, Freeze's heart was cold as ice. The only person who could have thawed it was dead. In a climactic battle, the Batman defeated Freeze by breaching his containment suit, causing him to be incapacitated.
Jack Ryder here, bringing you a live report of the battle between the Batman and Mr. Freeze. Much of Gotham's business district is covered in a blizzard to rival the Knickerbocker storm of 22. The Batman seems to be gaining the upper hand. Oh, Freeze just blasted the Bat with his freeze ray. Now Batman is reaching for one of his utility pouches. Zing, zing, pow! He knocked Freeze's gun right out of his hand. It looks like they're about to say something.
My wife, Batman. They're going to kill them and put them on ice.
Victor, they had nothing to do with it. You'll pay for what you've done to this city.
Only time will tell whether or not the Dark Knight will be able to thaw this conundrum of cold. Stay tuned, Gothamites!
Because of his extreme condition, a special containment cell was constructed for Mr. Freeze at Blackgate Federal Penitentiary. It allowed him to survive in lockup as long as he didn't try to escape. It was the start of Blackgate's special inmate program, which took into account special cases such as the Man-Bat and Killer Croc. Victor's story was a sad one, though eventually even his anger gave way to nothing but coldness. He was a shadow of the man he had once been, and there was no melting his heart this time. He remained a prisoner in Blackgate until it closed its doors. His enhanced biology allowed him to live much longer than the average man. Eventually, once the prison was closing, and having served his sentence, he was released in the dead of winter and wandered into the wilderness. Some claim he traveled to Antarctica where he could live out his days in peace, while others claim he died once winter passed. No one knows for sure. Some of his technology surfaced during World War II on both sides of the war, but not much else is truly known about what happened to Victor Fries.
In 1954, at the first Cryogenic Engineering Conference, his work was discussed in great detail, for even in spite of his erratic behavior, Victor had made strides in the industry. His work helped lay the foundation for modern cryogenics. This did not absolve him entirely, however.
At the end of the day, his legacy was one of ice and cold.